It's Rob from SonyRumors.net, and if you guys haven't heard the big PlayStation news in the last few days, it's that Sony has officially announced their next generation handheld device. And the reason I call it that is the device so far is being called the NGP, which stands for Next Generation Portable. And again, it is definitely going to be the successor to the PSP, but it still doesn't have a name yet. So the name that you hear right now, NGP, is still the internal code name that everybody's been using. So I'm sure the first thing you guys want to know is just how it looks like. So if you guys watch the following pictures, there are going to be some great HD pictures just showing you the device itself. Now that you guys have seen the pictures, I'm sure you guys want to know some of the specifications on what the device is capable of and what the device, can really offer that's different from the PSP and different from the upcoming Nintendo 3DS. As you guys just saw from those specs on your screen, that the NGP really boasts some high-end specs, and again, to really point it out, that OLED screen or OLED, depending on whatever you want to call it, is really a gorgeous, gorgeous screen. Imagine, the iPhone 4 if you've ever seen it, with the brightness cranked all the way up, but even slightly better than that. So I mean, again, for just gaming or watching movies and just interacting with your content, it's going to look beautiful on it. Another thing that really stands out for me is the processor. And again, it's not being mentioned enough, but there's a separate processor and a separate graphics card inside of it. So, very much similar to the PS3. And each of those are quad core. So there's actually 4 individual processors inside of this unit. And the graphics card itself actually has 4 individual processors as well. So this means, they're not taking away from each other. So the processor itself, for example, can worry about the game physics, while the video card itself can obviously worry about rendering, the upcoming scene for you. So again, that's another fantastic thing to note. But obviously, end of the day, all this stuff in terms of the motion sensor that has inside of it is, again, what comes inside of the PlayStation Move. So again, a very advanced motion processor inside of it, and those familiar with the PlayStation Move will let you always know that it's extremely, extremely precise. But like I said, all these really don't mean anything unless they're useful. So the following segment you guys are going to see is just, the gyroscope, the touchscreen, and things like that being used in different instances to kind of give you an idea of what to expect from games in the future. Here we're going to see the gyroscope being used. This should be something very familiar for iPod Touch and iPhone users. Here's an example of the back touchscreen being used in the middle of the screen to manipulate what's going on the front screen. This is again us seeing the gyroscope and the motion sensor kind of built into the device being used, and as you tilt back and forth, Nathan Drake swings on the vine back and forth for you. Here's a quick example of the front touchscreen being used in the middle of Killzone, where he's going to activate an ion cannon by just touching the screen. Here's a great example of the touchscreen again. As you see, wherever he taps on the screen, Nathan Drake follows that command line, and when you see an enemy, you can actually execute a hit on them. Again, this is in Uncharted, and you're going to see them use the gyroscope to actually simulate zooming in with the sniper rifle, and as you move around on the screen, so does your rifle. This is just one more example of the touchscreen being used to help Drake get over a log. Another thing I'm sure everybody wants to really see is just some of the games, and again, a whole lot wasn't shown, but here we can still see at least, some of the upcoming titles, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to expect, when this device launches next holiday season. So now that you guys have seen some of the game footage, I'm sure you guys are wondering, which games are in development for the system currently and which publishers are supporting it. And the good news is there's plenty of AAA titles that you're familiar with on the PlayStation 3 that are definitely coming to the NGP. And again, all these are original titles. They're not ports by any means. And you're going to see that there's definitely a ton of developers already developing games for it. And again, we're still more or less a year out from the launch, or 8 months away from it. So that's always good news to know that there's so much development right at the beginning, which sometimes can be the hardest. When there's a brand new product coming out, development's kind of waiting to see who buys it and who doesn't. So again, this is great for those who are ready to pick it up when it first comes out. That wasn't enough for you guys. I'm going to let KB handle the next part.
What do I got? 2 words. Montage.
This next segment I'd like to call Twit Book Mail, where we answer your questions about whatever our segment happens to be about. So this time being the NGP. So we've got plenty of Twitter questions revolving around the price of the NGP, and Sony still hasn't announced the NGP's price point yet, but they've assured us that it's not going to be something astronomical. So it's not going to be like the PS3 launch where the device was $599 and unreachable. A lot of people are thinking $299 or $349. We also had a Facebook question in regards to when the device itself is going to launch. Sony said holiday 2011, so that usually is going to put it around fall. So I'd expect it, late October, kind of like when the PlayStation Move launched, or, very early November. But I'm sure we'll hear plenty more at E3, which, will be when they're going to probably announce quite a bit of things onto it. Another thing, an email we got, they were wondering about the battery life of it, and there still isn't any official numbers, but Sony said it'll be on par with the original PSP, so you can expect anywhere from 3 to 7 hours. And again, I know some people are like, oh no, it's not enough, and they're kind of crying about it, but realistically, are you going to sit there and play a game for more than 3 to 5 hours straight? Chances are you're not, and at that point, there's probably going to be plenty of portable chargers for it. So as always, again, we haven't had too many questions yet since the product is so new, but again, if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to again send it to our Twitter, our Facebook, or come to the website and just drop us a comment, and we would love to answer for you guys.